Alright guys, not alright guys, alright homies, gotta use homies from now on. What's up homies? The Khaiza has made it back, oh wait, hold on a sec. Loop it, there you go. The Khaiza has watched, Marvel's latest theatrical film, and not supposedly, this is the last film in Marvel's like Phase 4. This is Marvel's like last film in the Phase 4 part of the multiverse saga, which the MCU like put up, and that's Black Panther, Black Panther Wakanda Forever. The Khaiza, along with his mom, has watched the movie, the whole 2 hour and 45. Was it like 2 hour 45? I think it's like 2 hour 45 minute movie, right? Through and through. We booked our tickets at our local AMC theater at Newport Mall, right? That's where we go to for movies now. I still wish, right? Because mom and I would, even with like my dad was around, we would go to like our local like movie theater in Bayonne, and Bayonne has that special sweet deal that regardless if you're like an avid like moviegoer or like a subscription member, which AMC would do, right? If you go on like Tuesdays, you get like discount ticket on Tuesday, discount pricing on Tuesdays. So tickets that would like normally cost mom and I, like when we went to Black Panther, would be like $30, right, for 2 adult tickets. Discount Tuesdays would like cut that shit half down, and it would be like $15. So I'm like, man, I kind of miss that, because you know, this is like, I've been to like movie theater, right? I've been to like a movie theater recently with my boy It's Amazing and his friend Leo, right? And I've been to like what was it? I think it was like before COVID, right? I saw like I saw the Dragon Ball like Super Broly movie, right? So I've been to like a movie theater here and there, but for the first, it feels like for mom, it's like the first time she's ever been to like a movie theater in like God knows how long, since the pandemic. And it's crazy to like see her like, you know, reactions, right? She's always been like a fun time for me, you know. I really appreciate that. If it would have been like any other friend, I would have like it would have been like, you know, lost value. But I feel like just hanging out with mom is just like how I feel like at ease, or like I feel like comfortable in the world, right? If you like pair me with somebody with like my friends, for instance, right? I would not get like a comfortable like feeling. I can, right? But like, you know, I won't like feel like at ease, you know what I mean? You know, it's all about like how I feel like at the end of the day, right? And I could put up like a good face and be up like on front, but like if I'm not like having a good time, then why am I here, right? And for me and mom, when I booked the tickets to Black Panther Wakanda Forever and we sat down in the movie theater, yeah, we both had like a good time, right? It was definitely an enjoyable ride, right? Well, I wouldn't say Black Panther Wakanda Forever is like a ride, right? I mean, of course, it does have like some moments where like it does have like action like here and there, right? Because it is like how my mom calls like the flow chart of like movies. She calls it like the masala, right? And we usually have talks with like, you know, about like upcoming Bollywood movies we want to watch, and like we always discuss this idea of masala, and not like the actual like food powder itself to like enhance like cooking, right? But we say masala as an expression of Bollywood movies have this like status like quo, right? They gotta have like a romance between a boy and a girl, and they gotta have like, you know, some like songs here and there. Otherwise, it wouldn't be a Bollywood movie. hence the termage for her, masala, right? And so the masala here is that, you know, it's a Marvel movie, right? So it's got to have like some blockbustery like action scenes, you know, for it, right? Which ironically, Black Panther Wakanda Forever is not really like an action movie if we pin it with the term blockbuster. No, Black Panther's like whole like theme, like when you go into like the movie theater, it's the whole thing is all about in remembrance of Chadwick Boseman, right? The original Black Panther before, you know, he died out of colon cancer. So the whole movie is like in respect and in remembrance of T'Challa, of Black Panther, of Chadwick Boseman, right? You know, so the whole movie is all about like tonally, it's all about like this like grief that people like go through, right? Because, you know, I have not seen like Chadwick Boseman being like so beloved of an actor. Not that, you know, take no offense, right? But it's always like so startling like to see, right? Because if it weren't for like Marvel and like the portrayal of like the actor, or if it was like a miscast, right, then Black Panther wouldn't have like gained that notoriety that it did, and that it like touched like so many people, right? Black Panther is like an icon for like not just, you know, not just like kids of this generation, but, you know, to all kids, right? Because, you know, Black Panther symbolizes a feeling for young kids growing up that, like, you know, there's always like the classic heroes, like everybody wants to be a Superman, everybody wants to be Captain America, Iron Man, or Batman, right? You know, very classic, very like staple like heroes, right? The common like Wonder Bread, white bread, you know, right? And we don't usually see like kids growing up that want to be like, you know, Black Panther, because, you know, what's Black Panther, right? He's just an overgrown like cat superhero that scratches you up and shit like that. There's no like real resonance with the character. We just look at it at like a surface level, right? But the way Chadwick Boseman like reached out to like the Marvel community, right? The way how he is as a person, how he portrayed as T'Challa the character, right? Sparked so much like resonance with kids all around that like people really want to be like Black Panther, whether you're black, white, Hispanic, or like all or brown, all that shit, right? Like Black Panther is like an icon, and it is really unfortunate again that we lost him due to natural causes, right? Colon cancer. Cancer is such a bitch, right? Like anything natural illness is like something, you know, unexpected, right? And, you know, Chadwick Boseman, like, he had colon cancer before, right? During the time of like, you know, the first like Black Panther movie, I assume, right? And he just stuck with it, like, you know, like a champ, right? And that shows like the level of dedication that like Chadwick Boseman is like, oh, sorry. That Chadwick Boseman is going through, right? Like, he's not just, you know, an actor that can act like really well for like a character. No, he is T'Challa. He is Black Panther. That role like defined him, even like through death, right? And it's sad that like his death is a death, right? Because, you know, a lot of like the directing crew, a lot of MCU, and especially like the cast and the crew for Black Panther were really like shocked and saddened by this, and you can like feel that in the movie, right? You have like characters like Angela Bassett, right? A world-renowned actor, a very powerful actor in the acting industry that just like gives her all to this like performance, right? And then you have like Letitia Wright playing as Shuri, T'Challa's sister, right? and you can see like, you know, it's not just like, well, of course they give like powerful performances and they give like more than just like acting. Those are like raw ass like human emotions that they give. It shows like it doesn't affect like just those two characters specifically, but it affects just like the people all around, you know, Wakanda, right? And it's the title like Wakanda Forever, that even though Chadwick Boseman may be gone, right, his heart, his like energy, his like passion will live on through us. So Wakanda Forever, right? You know, not just like the title drop of like the actual fictional country that T'Challa is from, but like, you know, Wakanda is like, you know, more than that, you know. It could be like talking out of my own haughty ass, right? But like the emotion is like, you know, the resonance there, right? And a lot of it is just like, you know, on the other side it's like grief, right? How do characters like deal with like grief, right? And no one like feels it more than like the pivotal characters like Shuri, T'Challa's mom, T'Challa's girlfriend, the Dora Milaje, you know, all that shit, right? Like, man, everybody just gives like an outstanding performance. And even like, you know, the villains, even though they're not like, they haven't, the villains are like new into this movie, right? Because they're a new like, they're new country, right? And they were like teased at in Endgame, right? An underwater kingdom, and the villain in this movie is an underwater kingdom led by a powerful being named Namor, and Namor leads like Marvel's like Atlantis, but they pretty much like retcon him, but he is a man that like, you know, just wants to do just not wants to do, but he doesn't do what he wants, but what like needs to, you know, right? So only like if he is poked in a bad like vibe, he will like poke back, you know. But the villain is really awesome, like Namor. Like even though like it's funny, right? I never really vibe with like the more aquatic characters of like DC or Marvel. Like I never vibe with like Aquaman. Right? Like I thought Aquaman is just some like weird like regal fucking guy with like a hook for a hand, right? That's what I remember him from the Justice League animated like cartoon back in the day, back in like Cartoon Network or Toonami, right? And then like Namor is just like this like DC equivalent of Aquaman, just like he looks like an elf, he has a widow's peak, he's like raw and these, that's it. That's it. Oh, and he has feathers on his feet, right? That's it. Right, so I never really like pay attention to him because like, you know, it's so lame, like he's so like weird looking. But then you give like those like characters in a movie like spotlight, right? Like of course, you know, in DC for Aquaman, they gave the character actor portrayal to Jason Momoa. Jason Momoa comes from like Conan the Barbarian, the low value film. But then you give him like just this beefcake like jabroni that doesn't know what to do or doesn't know how to like lead a country, but give him like this like dude bro like vibe, and you know he becomes like a cool Aquaman, right? I don't know how that's gonna play out, right? I'm pretty sure that's like in production, right? But it's gonna have Amber Heard, so like, great. I don't know how this will turn out. But yeah, like Jason Momoa was a really good Aquaman, and in here in Wakanda Forever, right, the actor that plays like Namor, they pretty much like retconned him from like a white man serving like Atlantis to like this Mexican like Aztec, no, not Aztec, is it Aztec or Maya? No, this Mayan archetype of a character, given with a fresh new like background for this movie specifically, and like he is a ruler of an underwater city that's not really Atlantis but called Tacolan or I think it's Talocan. Yeah, Talocan. Talocan is the name of the city, and you know damn, Namor is fucking awesome, right? Like, holy shit, like, what a character is he, my guys. Oh my god. Oh, sorry, just checking out about some stuff. What a character is he, right? I love his, like, you know, he is a villain, but, like, and I'm pretty sure that, like, this is, like, the best villain I have liked, right? Out of all of these, like, Phase 4, TV shows and movies, right? Namor is just fucking awesome, man. Like, I feel like, you know, he's not really, like, relatable. Like, it could be relatable somewhere, but, like, the villain, you know, like, makes sense, right? He has, like, this charisma, he has this, like, accent, he has this, like, badass abilities and powers, right? He is, like, pretty much, like, a force to be, like, reckoned with, you know? Ow. But, yeah, man, like, Namor is freaking, like, badass. And then, of course, there is the other character that was introduced in Black Panther Wakanda Forever, and that's Riri Williams, right? Again, this is another, like, new gen, like, hero that is kind of, like, making a spotlight in some of these, like, major Marvel, like, films, right? Or TV shows. But, see, I don't know how I feel about, like, Riri Williams, right? Not just, like, in terms of, like, looks or anything. She can look pretty, like, banger, right? But I like how they handle. No, I wouldn't say I didn't like how I like how they handled her. It was kind of weird of, like, how they handled her. It was just more like an extra thing, like, added on to Wakanda Forever. If it was, like, without her, it would have been fine. But, you know, the whole movie kind of revolves around Riri Williams and, like, what she did to, like, change the plot or the flow of Wakanda Forever. So it's like she has, like, no choice. She is, like, I'm gonna use this word, the MacGuffin, right? She is the MacGuffin of these Marvel movie, right? And so, but Riri Williams is pretty cool, right? She definitely gets, like, her glow up, right? And of course, you know, the suit is pretty fantastic because, you know, Riri Williams is, like, the next, like, Iron Man. She is a female Iron Man, or dubbed, like, Iron Heart, right? And she gets, like, her suit. Via, like, a montage, right? In this, like, movie. And, you know, I saw a lot of, like, early skepticism, a lot of, like, early fans, like, talking about Riri Williams, right? Especially, like, her suit, that, like, what the fuck is with her suit? Like, she looks like a fucking Power Ranger. I'm like, bro, I loved it. And especially me, considering I love, like, Power Rangers and shit like that. I love, like, Megazords. I'm like, that sold it even more. It looks pretty awesome. It looks pretty cool, right? But I don't know, like, I feel like Riri Williams should have been, like, in her own, like, series, and I'm pretty sure she's gonna get her own series in Marvel's Ironheart. That's scheduled to be, like, in production sometime. Either that, no, it can't be, like, Armored Wars, because I remember, like, Don Cheadle saying on, like, Facebook or Twitter that, like, MCU canceled the Armored Wars show, and they're still gonna, like, keep Ironheart. Something like that, right? I forget, like, the details are a little bit, like, foggy, right? But, yeah, everything about this film feels like a fucking, like, memoir, a letter to, like, Chadwick Boseman, and that's, like, good. That's excellent, right? Because, you know, this is where I, like, first thought of, like, my initial reactions for Black Panther, right? And it's that, you know, how can you do Black Panther without T'Challa, right? And after, like, going through some evidence and research that, like, you know, the Black Panther doesn't just live or die with T'Challa, it goes on to so much more. Like Shuri is the Black Panther, or like Black Panther's like son, for instance, if he has a son, right? He can be like a Black Panther, right? So the Black Panther like name is not just tied to like a specific character. It's like whoever possesses like a noble heart or a just heart can be like a Black Panther and can rule like Wakanda, right? So that is really awesome, right? So I think we should like get into some spoilers right now. We should get into some like spoilers for Black Panther Wakanda Forever, right? So it has the movie starts out with like I think they were like showing, no, not I think they were showing the first literal scene of Black Panther Wakanda Forever literally shows like Shuri trying to resuscitate T'Challa, right? Because at that time, you know, I feel like that scene like in particular was like made like even like before COVID and like after Chadwick Boseman's passing, right? So what was it? Sorry, just like checking up on stuff. Don't mind me. What happened, right? But yeah, this the whole like intro scene for Wakanda Forever starts off with Shuri trying to like develop a medicine or like something or like an herb that would help T'Challa recover from his illness, but Angela Bassett comes in and then tells like Shuri that, you know, T'Challa has passed away, and the whole like opening scene then transitions right to the second part of the opening scene, which is like the funeral for T'Challa, right? And you can see, right, you know, Black Panther Wakanda Forever has not lost its like first value, like touch. That what made the first movie so special is about exploring what Wakanda is, like exploring the different tribes. Like that's like one of the key like aspects of what made like Black Panther so great was the fucking community, right? They're not just like, you know, Wakandans are Wakandans, right? They show you the flavor, right? They show you the flavor, and it's heavily like emphasized through like music, through like tones, through like how the community works in Wakanda. Like the Black Panther movies, Black Panther 1 and 2 are, you know, just they feel to me like National Geographic films that showcase what Wakanda really is. Like it's really funny, right? And what definitely helps out with those like explanations or statements is that, you know, the music carries it, right? It's not a generic like trumpets and horns type of like orchestra that you hear in other Marvel TV shows and movies. No, it's actually a orchestra. You actually hear tones and vibes that actually fit like the environment, the community that Black Panther hails from, right? You hear all these like African like music, you hear like rap and hip hop that like are remixed with like, you know, African like tones and shifts, right? So I was definitely like, you know, surprised and relieved that Black Panther has not like, you know, lost its like touch, right? And so then we get on to like the next parts of the movie where the plot like kicks in for Black Panther Wakanda Forever, and it's that, you know, the United Nations are having like doubts about Wakanda sharing its like resource called vibranium, and that's where like Wakanda is so valuable for, is this ancient like stone that came out of like a meteorite, and vibranium is what helped and advanced the civilization of Wakanda, right? And United Nations are, you know, of course, obviously fucking stingy about Wakanda's like this quote unquote distribution of vibranium resources. And, you know, Angela Bassett, of course, like gives a 10 out of 10 performance that, like, you know, yes, we are denying the fact that like we are denying the fact that vibranium is a resource, right? But it's our resource, and look what happens with you lot, with you motherfuckers, with you other nations trying to get our like vibranium. You become like poachers, you become like greedy little like money grabbers trying to get that shit. Well, vibranium is part of Wakandan territory, and so if you touch Wakanda, then you are screwed. Right? And that alludes to like the intro of our villain of this movie, and that's going to be Namor, right? And so Namor, you know, how I said like is a retcon from the original comic book lore, right? I think he's actually, let me see. Instead of Atlantis, yeah, I like the movie. Yeah, it's a really good emotional piece, right? I love like the characters and all that stuff, right? Oh yeah, Namor doesn't like guard Atlantis. Instead, you know, the movie retconned him to be a Mayan, to be a person of like Mayan descent, right? Like he is like the son of like a feathered like serpent god, but in actuality, right, you know, they give it like him in this lore is that he was born under circumstances that Spanish conquistadors from the European world came over and colonized, you know, the tribe that Namor is from. He was still in the womb of his mom, but like, you know, every one of his like people were dying out of like. Talocan is a mix of Mayan and Aztecian cultures. Oh, Talocan. Oh, that's the name. Okay, it's a mix of Aztec and Mayan cultures. Ooh, oh yeah, that makes sense. Yeah. Okay, so then we can say that. Yeah, that's actually a good specific detail. Thank you, Spider Youth. But yeah, well, it's Taloha. Oh, that's right. That's the actual pronunciation, like Talocan. I see. Talocan. There you go. Nice. But yeah, like the big thumbs. What was it? Yeah, all of the Talocan tribes people were dying out of what was it, like, what did they say, like smallpox, or was it like something else? But it was like a disease that the Spanish conquistadors brought over to the tribe, and so every one of them died until like the legend goes is that they found like this weird like flower embedded on like a rock, and they used that flower to drink it and become like you know underwater creatures, right? They develop like gills around like their throats and neck, right? And they had to like breed like masks, but their skin like turned blue, and with that, you know, Namor was born as like a person who can be able to live and breathe in both, you know, on sea and on land, right? And so that's how like Namor was born, right? But you know, back to like the story, they introduced like Namor because, you know, scientists, like an American scientist, right, has been making like tech around like some parts of like the ocean. I think it was the Pacific Ocean, right? It was a vibranium detection device. And Namor felt like, you know, offended by it because, you know, why is there like a vibranium detection device right around our land? Well, he didn't like question it, but he wanted to like repel it off and like demanded he wanted to have the American scientist so he can like kill him, because his whole shtick, Namor, is that he wants to guard his underwater city, the capital city Taloka, from anyone else, because like Wakanda, Taloka is also a safe house for everything that is vibranium, right? Like, I really like the polar opposites that they give for Wakanda Forever in terms of the usage of vibranium, right? In Wakanda, right, vibranium is like so fucking advanced. It's so fucking advanced that they built like new advanced like technologies for it, like with remote control like beads, or like, you know, a vibranium like necklace that turns into like a suit, right? That's really dope looking. Whereas like the underwater city where Namor is from, all they have are just like, you know, they have like water bombs, but we don't see anything else from this Atlantic city. They're pretty much just like a tribal force underwater, right? That's like really fun. That's like really funny, right? And the whole contextual like theme behind this for Black Panther Wakanda Forever is that it's all about like vibranium. Essentially, that's like what it is, right? As much as like the movie like gives lamentations to like Chadwick Boseman, but there are also like themes about the, you know, resource wars, like wars that, you know, it's pretty much like a play on fucking history, right? Not only do we start wars on religion, right? Like that's known in truth, right? But we also fight for like resources, for natural resources, right? Like that's also fair to the point. That's also fair to the point of our, you know, world history, right? No matter where you are, I'm pretty sure like a history professor or a history teacher will tell you that like, oh, most wars is started through either like religion or with resources. Like there, like that's how it is, and it's the similar vibe like I get here, right? It's a similar vibe I get here with Black Panther Wakanda Forever. Like it's like it definitely like fleshes that out, right? Namor is like trying so much. Namor is like, you know, headstrong, and he wants to like protect his city from any harm that like comes to it, right? That's his whole like beef, right? So that's what happens, right? Then flash forwards to another scene where like, you know, Shuri is like grieving over like T'Challa, right? So is the mom, right? They all have like their personal problems that they have to like deal with internally, and this event happens, right? And what was it? Okoye of the Dora Milaje suggests like the queen to take Shuri out for some relief of an ease of the mind, and also to investigate on like why is there like a fucking attack on a research like compound that blamed the Wakandans for that, but it was actually the underwater sea fish people. And so they go to like the scientist that like started it, and it was by Remy Williams, right? Who is like a college student at Massachusetts, right? She gets by like on her own, but she is like the reason why. She is the MacGuffin that this whole like movie's later plot lines, you know, started, is that she made like that vibranium device for like higher government officials, right? It was like for a school project, but like little did she know that she was the one that like started it all, which is kind of like, you know, it's kind of like one of those like weird like movie plot lines where like something just has to like being filled in, right? It's not that like it's bad or anything, but I don't know, like it just didn't like vibe with it. Like it feels like so like tacked, you know what I mean? But anyway, Shuri and Okoye come to like question Riri, and they want to like bring her into Wakanda to like keep her safe, but then she gets like hunted down by, but then the group gets hunted down by not only the CIA agents that are like hunting her down, but also the fish people that that are trying to find the American scientists that did make the vibranium detecting machine. And so the fish people capture Shuri and Riri Williams, right? And Okoye is the one that like survives and has to like go back to Wakanda in like shame. And like, damn, dude, like Angela Bassett like fucking gives it her all, right? Like this woman really is like putting out some fucking like oomph. Like she puts out some oomph for this like for this character that is T'Challa's mom. She is just like, she is grieving like in her own way because she has like she has to govern Wakanda. She is like the one royal family line member that can keep her shit together and keep all the other like tribes like in check, right? And so, goddamn, like the powerful voice that like she gives is like insane, right? But what was it? Oh yeah, like the Queen of Wakanda banishes, well, not banishes, demotes Okoye for being such a useless bitch. That's what practically like she said. And then like, you know, she wants to do whatever it takes to rescue her daughter because Angela Bassett has like lost enough throughout like the time span of the blip, and with her husband like passing away, now her son passed away, and all she has left is Shuri. But Shuri gets like captured, and Shuri starts to see like what really makes all this like Talokan empire so like valuable, right? What makes it so like beautiful to protect, right? Namor like feels the same way, but you know, Namor is like the villain of this movie, and he says that, you know, if you Wakandans are not with us, we should fight together, right, against like the American forces or like the world forces, because, you know, again, it's a play on like the vibranium wars, right? And every like nation is like trying to like hunt down like vibranium. They don't say it like publicly outright, but like they just want to know the existence of vibranium so that they could like monitor it and possibly like poach it from them, you know? At the end of the day, it's like a play on arms race. Who has the biggest dick? Who has the better weapons, right? But Shuri says no, because Namor is like Shuri says no because like causing a war would only mean like, you know, destruction, and she's not all about that, right? And so she gets rescued by she and Riri gets rescued by Nakia, right? T'Challa's girlfriend, right? Who's been staying in like Haiti after the funeral procession for T'Challa. And so she rescues Shuri and Riri at the behest of the Queen, and is like, okay, I got you out. I might have killed like one or two like fish people. Let's get the fuck out of here, right? They return back to Wakanda, and what happens is that Namor gets like pissed off that like blood has been shed by Wakandans, and so he is ready to send like a war message, and starts like a fucking like a surprise attack on Wakanda, and in doing so kills the Queen of Wakanda, right, and causes several like casualties in Wakanda, and will return back with a full army if you don't do this again. He will let you mourn for the death of the Queen of Wakanda, but you know, he'll be back, right? And this is where like it starts to go into like Shuri now, because you know Shuri is the only member of the royal family of Wakanda, right? And so now she's lost her father, her mother, and her brother, and she is like the only one left that's, you know, she says this line: "I buried my heart with my mom. Now no one will truly like understand me," which is, you know, of course, right? Like, you lost like your family. This is like a fucking like Sasuke Uchiha type of vibe, right? Except it's not like, you know, your brother that you survived like the fucking massacre. It's like, you know, your whole like family. So it's a little bit smaller, but excuse me. Thank you. And so, what happens next is that Shuri finally develops like the herb that would give her like her brother's powers, the Black Panther powers, and it's the same like procedure that anyone who takes like the herb of the Black Panther boss would like eat and digest into, right? They would drink it, they would drink the herb, and they would have like an almost near death spiritual experience, and they would meet their ancestors on the ancestral plane, and they give them their blessings, and then they come back and they get like the Black Panther powers, right? So T'Challa would meet like would meet his dad in the ancestral plane, but for Shuri, she meets Killmonger, or her cousin, right? In this like Marvel Cinematic Universe like timeline, right? And she was expecting to see her mom, but it actually plays like a reverse of like, you know, I always thought like Shuri would get her like powers, but you can see like she is a Black Panther, right? She does drink the herb. She does talk to Killmonger, who also did like take the Black Panther herb for him like himself, right? And he was like the villain of Black Panther 1. And you know, it's very nice to see Killmonger in this movie, because outside of Ulysses Claw, which is, you know, the one true like villain, that and White Gorilla, right, who is also a villain in Black Panther comics, it is nice to see like the most realistic like villain we've seen in Marvel Cinematic Universe, and that's Killmonger. He is arguably like the best villain because he is the most relatable one, right? Killmonger comes from a Wakandan family that emigrated over to like the projects, right? They grew up poor. They didn't have anything left. They had to forget their history. But because of Wakandan laws and traditions, they are like ripped out of like, you know, their blood, right? And they get pretty much like dirt, right? So why Killmonger is like a villain is that, you know, he wants to usurp the throne of Wakanda and tries to mobilize Wakanda to be a warring country rather than just a pacifist country, right? Because of like the shit that like happened to him, right? You know, why is Wakanda like hiding all of its potential when they could be like, you know, something more, right? He wants to put Wakanda in the front of every newspaper is what his whole shtick was, because, you know, he's the type of villain that says, you know, Wakandan's beautiful, right? You know, this is his history, this is his heritage. But, you know, Wakanda's been sloppy, it is corrupt, it is, you know, sick to him. That, like, why is Wakanda the way it is? And he wants to, you know, reform. He wants to reform by taking over the throne and mobilizing Wakanda as, like, a warring nation. Like, why should we be, like, you know, pacifist when all these other nations are eventually going to come to us, right? And just, like, take what's theirs, right? It's like a literal play on like the character development himself, right? Because he grew up poor, he didn't have nothing else. He had to like take for what take as he was like climbing up, right? And that's like villain, but it's like the best relatable villain because it's completely something relatable. And of course, like that's the theming of like Black Panther. It's about like heritage. It's about like finding yourself or believing in yourself. Sort of like jazz like that, right? But anyway, Shuri meets Killmonger, right? Killmonger pretty much like talks shit to her, right? That like you didn't come here to see your mom. You want like something else, baby girl. You want to kill off the root, right? Because that's like the theme of Wakanda Forever. It's all about like grief, right? Something has been like taken away from you, right? Either by natural causes or by murderous intent. And what Shuri is feeling at that moment was murderous intent because oh. Sorry, just checking on Discord. She is feeling like so much like hate and vengeance towards Namor because Namor killed her mom. Anybody would feel that way, right? So she meets like Killmonger because all of the Black Panthers or the Black Panther family tree is like noble and just. Like they do what they have to do. But for Shuri is like, I feel like she is not going to be like a Black Panther. She's going to be a temporary Black Panther because she just needs like power to kill her mom's murderer, right? And that's what she does. She comes back from the spiritual experience, right? And she dons the Black Panther suit, right? And then the movie comes to like the one final confrontation with a Wakandan submarine ship against like the Talokan army. And they pretty much like duke it out. As like a big ass like action scene. We get to see like Riri Williams like Ironheart suit, but I'm pretty sure that's a prototype. And this is where like I'll say it again that like why were like people harking on that Riri Williams suit like looks bad? It looks like a Power Ranger suit, and I love Power Rangers, right? Why is there like hate for it? I guess it's just like people come up with ways to like hate on shit. Oh, just because it isn't like Iron Man, it doesn't look like Iron Man, so I automatically feel it in my dick that I can't like it either. Boo this fucking character. Boo this live action serialization. Like, come the fuck on. Calm the fuck on. The Remy Williams suit looks good, right? I do love the shoulder plates. I do love like the icons and everything. It's very like Megazord, like Power Rangers centric, right? I love it. And if you think about it, right? Iron Man is like, a Power Rangers like character, right? He pretty much like dons like a battleizer and shit like that. You just don't see it. But anyway, everybody is fighting. Shuri has one final confrontation with Namor, and they just pretty much go toe to toe, right? Namor getting like higher ground, but Shuri being like the genius that she is, she develops like tech that would not take away, but seal Namor's powers by like making him not as watery as he would get with the water, like dehydrate his ass. And so Shuri and Namor have like one final confrontation on like a sandy like rocky plain next to a sea, right? Which is very like, wow, that's kind of coincidental. But Namor like stabs her. Shuri, feeling the power of vengeance with her like mom's guidance, like she scuffs it off and then like almost fatally kills Namor. But then Shuri remembers like the lessons learned from her mom, from her brother, that like it is not the way, right? And convinces Namor that like she tells Namor to yield bitch, or Wakanda's gonna come full force on your ass, right? And they pretty much stop fighting between land and sea. It's a land and sea fight, now that I think about it. and both parties like stop, right? Both parties stop, and what was it? What is it that I was missing? I forgot what it was. Oh yeah, right. The ending scenes, right? You get like little snippets of like, you know, the white agent of Shield, Martin Freeman, who plays like Agent Everett Ross, not Thunderbolt Ross, but Everett Ross, right, or something like that, and you know, it's kind of like a weird placement for him because, like, you know, he's just in those scenes, but he doesn't have any like pivotal role that he does in the first movie. Excuse me. But we get to see Agent Everett Ross. He was like helping out the Wakandans, but later found out as like guilty because he's been hiding Wakandan stuff. And is on his way to like, you know, a compound, but then Okoye frees him. Then next transition shows like Namor badly injured, and then talking to his like cousin that, why did you yield to the Wakandans? But Namor is like so stubborn, right? Like, because even though his bitch ass like lost, he says that, I may have lost, but when the world is like shaken and when Wakandans, you know, need help the most, they will come to us and then they will kneel for us. So don't worry, Namora. Those bitch ass Wakandans will come begging for us for assistance, right? Which is kind of like a funny. That's some petty bullshit. That's some petty bullshit. You know, just cause you lost, right, doesn't mean like you won necessarily, right? It's pretty fucking funny. Oh, sorry. And then we have like the final scene of Shuri, and it was hinted at earlier in the movie that her and her mom still have like the ceremonial white robes that are used for the funeral processions for T'Challa. And like by Wakandan custom goes is that you, after the end of the funeral, you burn the white robes, meaning that like you let go, like you're still not in grief anymore, right? And Shuri finally gets to like burn her ceremonial white robes that she's finally let go. She still thinks about her brother like a lot because, you know, again, right, that's the tone of Wakanda Forever, right? And the people who are especially hit the most like in this like film are the mom, the girlfriend, the sister of T'Challa, right? And it definitely fucking shows, right? Throughout the film, we see that Shuri is just like struggling to process the grief that she has for her brother, right? When she was like given like an ultimatum that by Killmonger is like, no, you don't want to do that. You want to find the son of a bitch that like killed your mom, right? She is not of Wakandan tradition, right? She is a scientist first and foremost, right? She cares deeply for family, but tradition can go suck my nuts, right? That's like what the character was in Black Panther 1, right? She is a smart girl with smart abilities, but she doesn't uphold to the laws and rules of Wakanda, right? But even if she doesn't like follow all the rules and customs of Wakanda, right? She does care for her family. Like she feels the loss, and every like time that like shows her off is like, you know, she's trying to be like the princess, but you know, she's not really like the main character of the movie, right? Like even though it was heavily implied that like Shuri was going to be the next Black Panther, but it actually shows here in the film that like her heart is filled with like so much like grief and vengeance that she can't be a true Black Panther. A Black Panther is someone with a fierce might, a fierce sword, but has to be noble as well, right? It has to be with a strong heart, you know, and Shuri doesn't have a strong heart, right? Because at the end of the final confrontation scene, she is almost ready to kill Namor, right? She was about to drive a spear through Namor's eyeball, and that would have been the movie if it was like her own headcanon. But the movie has to go through like these like masala spices of life, right? She gives mercy to Namor, right? And then both like walk away, or well, come back and then say, oh, the fighting is over. And so, you know, the whole time she's been like grieving, right, in like her own way. The movie doesn't like show it, but like she eventually like does. She does like throughout the movie is what I mean, you know, in her own space. And when she finally like burns like the ceremonial robes, it's like, you know, she is like letting go. She is like parting ways that like well, not parting ways. She accepts that her mother, her father, her brother are gone from her life, and so she has to like move on. And that's what the whole movie was. Is like Shuri like finally letting go, right? It's okay. You can cry, right? And you know, like, and that's the end of the movie. And of course, there's this like post-credit end scene where you see Nakia with a child, and I forgot what that little boy's name is, but he is supposedly called T'Challa, right? In Wakandan accents. The boy was given like a Haitian name, but I forgot what the Haitian name was. Toussaint, something like that. I forgot, but his name is like Wakanda. His name is T'Challa, which I kind of thought that was like a little bit weird, like at first, because you know, the whole movie is all about like remembering and grieving over T'Challa, and so having like this kid who is named like T'Challa kind of felt a little bit weird, right? Because you know, is he gonna be the next Black Panther? And then I didn't like think about it when I exited out of the theater with Mom. I thought that like, oh, T'Challa's name lives on, right? It's not just like, you know, the super shallow, the superficial, the surface level only like title of Black Panther. No, it's like the name of like the titular actor and character, right? Lives on through the next generation, you know? Which I thought that was very poignant and true, right? And so, like, that's the end of Black Panther Wakanda Forever, right? It was a very poignant tale, right? Of just, you know, grief, right? Everybody's, you know, grieving over the epic as fuck man that is T'Challa, Black Panther, Chadwick Boseman, right? Everybody is like grieving in their own way, right? And of course, you know, favorites among the movie are like, you know, the characters themselves, right? Angela Bassett gives like 1,001% performance on this movie, right? She is like the queen of like fucking acting, right? If you've seen her somewhere, she must have been like in a drama or some shit, or just somewhere else. But Angela Bassett can just, you know, like give a performance that will be like she is incredible. And then of course, you know, Letitia Wright as Shuri, she gives an outstanding like performance, right? You know, dealing grief in her own way, trying to find, you know, ways through like science, but also being like an emotional human when, you know, her mom like died, right? Then there's like Nakia, who has been away from Wakanda and started a school in Haiti, right? Right, which is funny because like that's another character, right? Even though like she is T'Challa's girlfriend, she wanted to like step away from the royal throne roomness that is Wakanda, right? She didn't want to be like tied to it, but rather just be like a vigilant, just be like an outside helping hand, right? Whenever Wakanda is in need, I'll come and jump in, right? Then there are like favorite characters, right? Like M'Baku, the Red Gorilla. He can be like a surrogate, like big brother to Shuri, right? He's just like this battle ready person, right? Like I like M'Baku, and you know. But at the same time, speaking of like humor, right? I feel like, you know, it definitely needs to have like that masala humor, right? And like I said, what I say about like masala is all about, you know, this like typical like flow chartiness, right? You know, Marvel wants to do like not only they're not only like an action business, but they're also like a comedy business like as well, right? With their they try to like level out as much like action and comedy as much as like they can. But mostly it's like action, but there's got to be like some like scripts of action or comedy, otherwise it wouldn't be like a or comedy, otherwise it wouldn't be like a Marvel film, you know what I mean? And so yeah, like if it like it has like those masala points, but if it weren't for them, the film would have been great, because if it was just like a hard set like drama about like characters like grief, right, that would have been a way more emotional experience more, right? And that's like the kind of like thing I like about like these Marvel films is, you know, I do like action, but sometimes like if the action is done right, like I like Endgame, I like the action sequences like here in Wakanda Forever. It can be a little bit weird to like look at, because a lot of it can be like weird CG all over the place. But yeah, the action looks not bad. But I could be wrong amongst like amongst like other critics, right? But yeah, like the action scenes were great. The action scenes were cool, right? But I feel like I like Marvel because of like the character interactions, right? That's why like Endgame is like super fucking good, because you have all these like heroes from different like Marvel movie franchises talking to each other, right, in powerful like dialogue scripts, right? I just want to see like characters talk. I want to see Riri Williams talk between like Shuri, and then I want to hear more of Angela Bassett and everything. It's like I love like the dialogue pieces a little bit more than like the action itself. It's crazy. But yeah, like Wakanda Forever, if I were to like wrap Wakanda Forever in like in a neat little bow, I would say this film gets like a 8 out of 10, right? It's a great piece, right? Don't get me wrong, it's a good film, right? This is like kind of like the best like movie and the best closeout of Marvel like Phase 4 cinematic universe of the multiverse saga. But there is some like weird pacing issues, right? There is like a force like MacGuffin that revolves around Riri Williams, right? And she just happens to like be in it, right? I wish it were like something else, but like the pacing is like super like off, right? So the whole Vibranium War shit was like thrusted upon like the movie because we had to have something to like fill. But what was it? Yeah, there was like Riri Williams, right? There was what else was there? The unnecessary scenes was like Martin Freeman, right? It didn't lead to like anywhere, right? Which is like, why have him there when he's not going to be doing anything at all, right? And he later gets like arrested. He later gets free, but he gets arrested. Like that. What did it like lead up? At least like in his inclusion in Black Panther 1 made sense, right? He was part of it, right? There was a reason to like show him off. But not for here, which is very surprising. And of course, you know, Black Panther doesn't really have any like big Marvel ties. Like, what is like the next big threat, right? I saw like a leak of Black Panther Wakanda Forever, and that yeah, come in. What's dinner? Where's what?
With chicken.
What chicken? Or roti, you said, right? Oh, I'll have borota pie. I'm coming, bye. Alright, just let me be done. Alright. What was I? Oh yeah. But yeah, like Black Panther Wakanda Forever is like it's its own story, right? And to be honest, I kinda like that more than just like what these like Marvel Phase 4 films are like actually like putting out, right? Because you know, we're in the new saga, right? We're in the multiverse saga, but there is no sign of the next big like threat. There is no like indication of like what is the big baddie of what we're going to be fighting in this new like multiverse saga. It is definitely hinted at in like Phase 5 or Phase 6 that it's going to be like Kang the Conqueror and Doctor Doom, right? And speaking of which, right, Black Panther Wakanda Forever was leaked like 2 months before that it was going to have like an end credit scene where Doctor Doom was supposed to like appear at the end of Black Panther Wakanda Forever, but the director or MCU like took that out and then changed it to be something more poignant with the themes, like with the film's like themes and core concepts of the film, right? And that's like to remember T'Challa, that he was like the greatest hero we could like ever have, right? And to be honest, like I like that, right? I don't want to have, and I even told Mom like wait for a mid-credit scene, right? Because this is Marvel, right? I'm not honestly seeing like what's the next big threat, right? But it's Marvel custom by now, right? Like a lot of us in that movie theater were staying just for the end credit scene, and when the actual credit scene came in, then we left. And I was like, okay, cool, that's a nice end credit scene. It didn't have to tease anything, but it was a cool, poignant like mid-credit scene that didn't need to like allude to anything, but it was just super nice for the sake of like, you know, T'Challa, right? And that's good. That's what really matters, right? And so yeah, like I'll give Wakanda Forever like a solid like 8 out of 10. Right? It's a good fucking film for just like being a Wakanda story, right? Like what happens to Wakanda after like the blip, after T'Challa's passing, right? Like the film like goes through so much of that, right? It's insane. And so, you know, I really like Black Panther, right? As much as I don't know of like the character's like lore and backstory, I only know of him from like the Marvel's Avengers Earth's Mightiest Heroes TV series back on like Disney XD. And he was just pretty much like stealthy like Catman, right? That's all he really was. But I do like the movie portrayals of Black Panther a lot because, you know, it definitely make the character like, you know, have like that glow up, right? I always thought of like Black Panther as like this like fucking like stingy version of Aquaman that like nobody touches Wakanda, nobody touches Atlantis, right? But you know, give the character more depth, give the character like some writing by like competent writers and story script writers and all that jazz, like, and a character can turn out to be like a fucking favorite character, right? That's really awesome that like writers can like make these characters not like one-to-one, right? It is nice to like have like a character one-to-one, but it's definitely nice to see like these writers change up like the lore of these characters to fit them in like in the big screen, you know? And that's what's really awesome, right? So what next do we have for like Black Panther for the MCU, right? Because now Phase 4 is over, right? Like Phase 4 is officially over, and now we're going to be heading into like Phase 5, right? And Phase 5, our first like film that will be like coming out is Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania, right? And that's going to be my next film to watch because, you know, I like the Ant-Man films, right? And I really want to see like Kang the Conqueror. I don't know about in like theaters though, right? We can like see it, but what else is there? Guardians 3 definitely. Oh, The Marvels is going to be July 28th, right? Oh, Mom and I have like a vested interest in seeing like the Marvels because Kamala Khan is going to be in this movie, right? And we both love like Miss Marvel. Granted, like the story scenes are like kind of like whack, but like, damn, I love Kamala Khan now. Like she's my favorite. Just like a hero, like that's actually my fucking background. Then there's like Captain America, New World Order. We don't know much about the New World Order film, except that it's gonna have like, what was it? This guy, he's like the leader. He's kind of like the Hulk's like Brainiac, right? He's like a villain, and he's like just this super smart elitist person. He was teased in The Incredible Hulk by, where is he? This guy, or this guy right here, right? But that came from The Incredible Hulk, and like Incredible Hulk is alright, but it wasn't everybody's favorite. Like, well, it was a good Hulk because he was super vicious. It was like, you know, Prime Hulk, but it wasn't like a great Hulk, you know. But that's that. Then there's like Thunderbolts, which the casting for it kind of feels a little bit weird, right? Because it has Bucky, it has Ghost Girl from the second Ant-Man movie, it has fake Captain America or US Agent from the Falcon and Winter Soldier movie, the new Black Widow, and that father figure in the Black Widow movie. Oh, and the awful version of Taskmaster. Right? So I'm like, And then this will be like Blade, right? And then there will be like Blade in here, right? I don't know how Blade will work, but let's see. The Blade is scheduled to release when? September 6th. Right, and recently Blade kicked out the MCU kicked out the director of this upcoming Blade movie, and Mahershala Ali was pissed about it, right? And so we don't know when that's gonna be. But as for TV shows, what are we gonna have, right? We're gonna have What If Season 2, right? We're gonna have Secret Invasion. Oh, that's the Skrull invasion, right? We're gonna have Echo. Oh, that's that one chick from the Hawkeye series, the deaf mute girl. Then there's gonna be Loki Season 2, that's gonna be in production. Ironheart, that's gonna be Riri Williams' own thing. There's gonna be an Agatha Harkness TV show. And then I'm excited to see one. This is gonna be Daredevil. It's gonna have 18 fucking episodes. I can't wait to see that. Early 2024. Oh my god. But yeah, that's gonna be like Phase 5. That's gonna be Phase 5, and I can't wait to see like what movies are gonna be in like Phase 5. Because we're out of like Phase 4, and Phase 4 is kind of like this like weird like phase, right? Because no one knows what really is going to go down in Phase 4, but in Phase 5 there could be like hopes for Marvel Cinematic Universe fans that like, oh, okay, this is going to be the tease of our new villain. What's it going to be, right? And so, yeah, Phase 5 can be like really hopeful. I hope, right? I hope it doesn't turn like schlock, but like, man, I really hope. And then Phase 6, right? And Phase 6 is going to be like Deadpool, right? Deadpool 3, Fantastic Four, Avengers, right, with the Kang Dynasty. That's going to be Kang as the main villain. And then Avengers Secret Wars. And that's going to be with Doctor Doom as the villain, right? So, let's see. Let's see what the Phase 5 and Phase 6 have in store for us, right? As for Black Panther itself, right? Pretty amazing film, pretty awesome, right? I definitely loved the movie. Definitely a favorite amongst these like Phase 4 movies. But overall, I give it like an 8 out of 10 just for like the movie's sake, right? The forced plot, the little interaction with Martin Freeman, what else is there? Yeah, and there were like some things are there that I can like pinpoint. I just forgot what it is, but yeah. Black Panther Wakanda Forever, it's out in theaters. Go ahead and see it if you can. If you like Black Panther, if you like Marvel, or if you want to like honor Chadwick Boseman and his like dedicated performance for the character, right? You know, go for it, right? Go for it. It's a really good fucking movie.